Good morning, good evening, or good night, folks. I'm your host, Simon Redhanded, and welcome to Gaming Red-Handed. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a fantastic food item known as the Hug in a Bowl. Now, I'm playing on the hard servers, and if you're also playing on the hard servers, you'll recognize that a big issue is dealing with your hydration and your energy from eating and drinking. And when you're running these pro dungeons that are now open, you got a big concern. A lot of the foods you're eating, they give you a buff, whether it be drinking beer or you're drinking your whimsical beverages and all that. You want to keep your buffs active, but the problem is when your status starts dropping low and you start losing movement speed and carry weight because you're hungry and you're thirsty. Almost every food that you go to cook gives you some kind of buff, so you're forced to navigate with really terrible food items such as the preserved fish that only gets plus 40 but also drops your hydration by 10, or you got what I've been rocking a lot is just a large stack of roasted meat, grilled mushrooms, but you notice here they only give you 30, 20, so you gotta be jamming a bunch of these things just to get your energy up, and you don't want to be wasting that much time doing that. So what I suggest people start doing is farming Hug in a Bowl. Hug in a Bowl is great because it gives plus 100 energy and plus 100 hydration. It's fantastic. It's basically you keep a couple of these on you and you get yourself topped up, and it doesn't give you any buffs. Even though the kitchen set says increases dishes by 30%, all that stuff there, it's only talking about this, but there's no buff that it actually gives, so it's a great thing to use. And what's also great is Hug in a Bowl is a core mimetic, which you get at tier 3. Just when you unlock electric stoves, it gives you Hug in a Bowl. So that means even on week 1, you can start cranking these out. So what I'm going to do in this video today is tell you how to prepare for Hug in a Bowl, tell you what you got to farm, tell you how to set it up. I'll even give a bit of a farming tutorial. I'm not going to go too crazy with all the details of farming, but I'm going to give you the basic pointers that you're going to need to get a proper farm going, where to get the initial seeds from, all that stuff. One-stop shop to make sure that you get your Hug in a Bowl factory running and rolling. Take a look at the ingredients here. Now, the ingredients are pretty simple, except there's two here that might be a bit of a problem to get, which is the peppercorn and the pork. So I'm over here at Blackfell, and then we're gonna come over to Lacey, the vendor, and we're gonna talk to her real quick. And this is where you're gonna find peppercorn seeds. You can buy 3 of these a week, and these are actually one of the seeds that are on my list that I bring with me when the season changes over. I brought over 2 seeds of peppercorn with me, 2 morel. Now most likely we'll do it again this season also when we get the winter season start, because you don't have access to Blackfell, and peppercorn is important for deviated chops and Hug in a Bowl, and you want to make sure you get this rolling in your farm real early. You buy a couple of these. I'm going to show you what to do next to make sure you multiply these 3. That way you don't have to worry about ever getting low on peppercorn seeds in the future. Next, we're over here at Myers Market, early game town, second town you unlock, level 15 area-ish. This is where I came to get my initial cabbage seeds. You only need a couple of them, and then you're going to breed them up in the farm, in your garden, okay? So this is right about here at Myers Market. Next up, we're at Deadsville, and what I like about Deadsville is it's the early game newbie area, and you can easily find what you're looking for. And what we're looking for over here is wheat. Going over to Citrus County. So you see Deadsville right here. Citrus County is just a bit northwest of that. You can run from there because this is where the wheat starts. You're going to gather wheat here. This is what wheat looks like, and you're going to gather these until you get some wheat seeds. However, this area is actually quite abundant in wheat. If you go this way, go that way, this is where I usually go for my early wheat and early beer, because you need wheat for beer. You come over here, you run along this patch here, and within a matter of minutes, you'll have over 100 wheat. If you need more than that, you do the old server hop in Deadsville, come back again, and you'll have an infinite supply of wheat. Initial garden plots are reserved for peppercorn and morel, so I do hand gather my wheat up until like I get my garden up and running and I have enough of the rare materials going. I don't think wheat's worth a spot early season, but late season, when I have some proper yield fertilizer, I'll put a couple of those in here and bang out 200-300 wheat in like a 12-hour session without ever having to come back and gather them by hand. All right, where you're gonna go for pork is you're gonna go to Greywater Camp. You're gonna run east, just through East Blackfell Junction, over to this teleporter here to the south of it. This is a good spot for pork. What I've done here is I've marked out all my pork locations. And what I'm gonna do real quick is in real time, I'm gonna go with you and basically show you the route I take. So when I teleport in, you'll be facing this direction. I start off at the one I marked number 1. I just put it on my map there. I would suggest you make use of the pins, because the pins carry over each season is fantastic. I mark my crates off for strongholds. I mark off certain farm locations I think are decent, where deviants are, where big trees are, all that good stuff there, so I can always know where I'm going next. So I usually come over here. This is the first camp here. Pigs are over there. Kill off those pigs, and then I go to my map, go to the next direction, which is straight this way, right? Come back here, keep driving straight. We got another pig camp right about here. There they are. All right, once you get those guys over there, my map again, I got another segment right over here. Now I can see my mini map because this is pretty close together. We got a couple pigs over there. There's the next one, and then we got some pigs over here. Pigs right about here. Around here somewhere. I think I might have driven past them. There they are, right there. You're gonna go up a bit more to this direction here. I'm kind of doing on muscle memory now. I'll show you the map. This is the next section right here. And then there's one more set of pigs up the hill here. Once I'm finished with this pack up here, bang them down. I turn this way, and I go right back to the teleporter. Right, I do this whole loop, takes me about 5 minutes or so. That's about 100 meat or so. When I'm done, I need more meat, and I think that's not enough what's it called, pork for my session I'm about to do. I'll just come back here and just change channels and do it again, another loop. For salt, you just need to gather water anywhere near the ocean, right? And what I mean by the ocean is you gotta look someplace where the water goes out towards the blue sea here. This is all ocean. Any of this brown water here is riverbed. It's gonna give you dirty water, G whatever your keybind is, and it's gonna give you seawater. You take that seawater, you bring it to your kitchen set, and it will turn into salt. And a good reason why we're here is these rocks, shell rock and seaweed rock, when you gather these rocks, they give you seaweed and they give you shellfish. You're gonna need these for your garden, because you need the garden crops and the fertilizer in order to properly grow your materials. So what you do is you come here. I usually gather about 1,000. Doesn't matter which one you get. I just crack all these rocks here. I put 4 stacks each into my composter, and I have a bucket, a chest that I do nothing with, and I just throw the rest in that bucket and I ignore it because I want it to turn into spoiled food. All right, so if you're having a problem with spoiled food and how do I get enough to make my planters, this is how you do it. You come here, seaweed, you come here for the shellfish, you gather a ridiculous amount of them, you put your seafood and oil on, and then you come here and you gather shellfish until you have hundreds of them, right? The reason why I chose this beach, you could do any open sea, but this beach, when you start the game off and you come dropping in, you drop off right here at this abandoned monolith here where you meet Mary. This is the closest source of salt you're gonna find in this teleporter. So as soon as you land here, you turn around, run back, get your salt. Deadville's right here. Myers Market's right here. You can get this up and running real fast, except for the peppercorn. The peppercorn is all the way over here in Blackville. So if you don't bring peppercorn seeds with you, you will not be able to make Hug in a Bowl until, if they keep this same god-awful system of the weekly phases, until week 2. That is not a good thing. So immediately, I would always bring over at least 1 seed. It costs 10 material points. I think it's well worth 10 points. Bring over 1 seed, start breeding it up. I will show you how to do the breed fertilizer also in this video. Next, we are near Sunbury, around the bend, and then you're gonna find a little crack in the hole here, and you're gonna drop down to this crack. I'm gonna come in this cave here. Yes, if you get a grow shroom, that's gonna be fantastic, but what you're looking for here are the mushrooms and the scarlet calamus. Make sure you pick up all the scarlet calamus you see, all the mushrooms you see, because you're gonna need both of those. Alrighty, so we return back home. What we're gonna do next is we're going to get the memetics required to get our farm up and running. How this starts is we jump into the memetics. We're gonna go over to logistics, and we're gonna go down and unlock planting, compost bins, planter box, and fertilizer 1. If the season gives you enough time, and the week 1, and it does go further, you're gonna go right down to fertilizer 2. And the fertilizer we're looking for are these. Breeding boost, which when you plant a seed with these, it's going to multiply the seeds you get. And yield boost, when you plant a seed with these, it's going to increase the amount of crops you get. This is why we got the mushrooms and the scarlet calamus. We're here at the back of my base here, and what we have going on here are my 2 trucks. I don't really sell anything. I hate the vending machine system. I think it is gross. So my first truck here, what I have set up here is my compost bins and my brewing barrels. My next truck is pretty much set up the same way. I got a fridge, I got a rot bucket, which is where I put extra food. I come down here, I set up all of those shellfish I've got, they all go into the buckets here. The reason why we're doing this is we need this, the fertilizer. And the best way to get the fertilizer is you can put any random food in there, but getting enough fertilizer with random food is often difficult. So going up and harvesting the shellfish and the seaweed gets you a bunch of these. You come back and you do that. Any extra you have from your compost box that you're not going to use, you put a box like this down and you just throw random food that you're not going to use in here. The extra shellfish you're not going to use in here, and it's going to turn into spoiled food. And you're going to need that spoiled food also. So everything in here I want to rot, I call this a rot bucket because I'm not going to accidentally look at it. I'm not going to accidentally draw from it. Everything goes in here that I didn't personally cook. All crappy food I pick up, it all goes into this kind of bucket there, so it can turn to spoiled food later on. We're gonna go up to the garden. So this is my garden. This garden is a bit intricate. This here is about 125 plots up and down. It's got, you know, the purifiers going, all this good stuff here. You do not need this kind of garden to do what we're trying to do here. What you need to understand is the basic rules of the garden is you need one sprinkler, one grow light, and you're going to do a 5x5 planter setup, which is basically 5 planters this way, 5 planters this way, okay? And that is enough for your sprinkler to reach both. What I would usually do is a double stack. I don't have mine layered up tightly because even though the grow room can go in between stacks, I like being able to manually plant all my seeds. Also, I'm actually at build limit, so I do follow the rules, but I don't put anything in the middle here. So what the rules are for garden is it can be up to 5 small squares long. It usually is 2 squares up, 2 walls up, and then a half. Right? That's the max length you can go up to in order for your sprinkler system to be able to reach both the top and the bottom, right? So if you want to do a small compact farm that you can control, you can do this, whereas you put 5x5 on this floor, put a wall, some floors on top, 5x5, and put the sprinkler on top, and this sprinkler will keep the irrigation for both this set of planters and the planters directly below it. So it's fantastic. And also, in order to do your grow light has the same set of rules, which is 5 up, but it cannot go through ceilings. So what I did for this is I just did 2 pillars and put my grow light on here, and that way the grow light will cover the entire radius of this block here, right? A little bit of the rules, because some people are confused on how the water works. The water follows gravity, right? So how this works is if you want, so when you put water in buckets, right, they flow downhill. So like you see this water is down here. Everything that's going in here is flowing downhill naturally to these osmosis machines. The reason why this is flowing uphill is, you look at my water pump inside the walls here, this has power. So once this has power, everything coming into it will go up. Now, the pumps themselves are interesting because the rules, all the power does is kind of invert the rules of the pump, because this pump here still works based on gravity. So if you look at this pump here, it's pulling water from these tanks here up, and then it's pushing these ones out. And what people will notice is if you move this, if I move this up, say here, it's gonna pull water from everything. And the reason why it's pulling water from everything is because this works on a gravitational shift also. It will pull, if there's pipes coming in, anything coming below will always get pulled toward if it has power. If it loses power, like let me delete the power line real quick. If I can do that without ruining my base. It will start putting water down because now there's no power. Anything that's below it will get power, and it assumes you want power to go down. And if I had a pump coming up from the top, it would then flow directly towards it. But as soon as you add power towards it, get my power going back into it, it now starts pulling. How you fix this is, well, not fix it, but how you make this work is this. My water pumps are still below where my sprinklers are going, right? My sprinklers are above. Because my sprinklers are above, it's pulling the water up, and then it's pushing the water up also. So my water is going out towards my sprinklers. If I push this up on there and everything is below, that means it will drag everything from the bottom. So what you want for this flow direction is you want the water pump buckets on the lowest level, and then you wanted to go up. Now you can arrange this so that you don't need power at all if you want to save your power consumption by putting these buckets up like this. I would have to put my buckets above the sprinkler. So I have to, like, say, set up a little platform up here. If I put my water buckets up here and then the pump right on, like, below it, it would flow down and then down. But since I want it to pull my water up, I have to do it this way. So that's so people can understand how the pump system works. Position of this matters in that sense. So right now, the flow, my buckets that give water are below my pump, and the pump where it's sending the water is below where the water is going, right? So it's going to my pumps right here, water pump there, and that's why this is working the way it's working, okay? That's a quick explanation there. Now, you understand that the garden plots are 5 by 5. You understand that if it's 2.5 squares high, you can water both above and below. You're gonna set your irrigation to 80 because 80 is the sweet spot for almost every plant. Every plant needs either 70 or 90 to be good. 80 works. And then for artificial light, you usually pick 80. Well, you can use 70, but the problem is it'll be on 70 and it will still be brown, telling you that it's not getting the optimal irrigation. So I put 80, right? And that's what I set my grow lights to. Make sure you set these, because when I first started using these grow lights, I didn't set the target lighting and it stays at 10. I was wondering why I wasn't getting lights. You got to set this to 80, set this to 80, and this will make sure that your garden runs smoothly and you get your yield right. Now, if you have power issues, you don't need the grow light, but you for sure need irrigation, because without the grow light, you lose 15 vitality. Without irrigation, you lose 75. It's a big deal. It takes longer to grow. And when you do grow, you get much less crops, and you don't want to do that, okay? So you got to make sure that you have all of that correct. Now, your ratios are up to you, right? I have this massive farm going because I have a lot of plots. All right, we're late in the game. I only need this. I've got a crazy amount of peppercorn. I don't need it. But if I were starting off, this is how I would start to grow this. First things first, I would make sure I always have breeding fertilizer ready to go, and I would make sure that the first thing I plant is my peppercorn. And how you do this is, I'm gonna clear this plot just for the test. Ready to clear it, you're gonna click F on it to farm, you're gonna choose your seed, and you're gonna go through this list here, right? I don't have anything crafted right now, I'll make some more later on, but you're gonna go through this list here. Default fertilizer is okay, it gives you an increased yield, but not that much. I didn't go through the exact math, but all I know is this: it doesn't take long to multiply your seeds this much. I have used so many peppercorn seeds, I've sold a bit, stuff like that. What you do is you're gonna come here, you're gonna find your breeding boost in here, and you're gonna plant your first peppercorn that you brought over the season or you bought from the vendor, and you're gonna make sure you plant every one of these with a breeding boost until you get a good healthy amount of peppercorn. I like to have about 50 or so, and then once I have 50, I start planting about 10 with breeding boost and 10 with yield boost until, you know, my system is where I need to be, right? If you're working a tight plot, which is 5 by 5, which is 25, I would do five peppercorn that are with yield boost, 5 peppercorn that with breeding boost, that's 10. Then I would do 5 cabbage with yield boost, and 5 with breeding boost. And then for wheat, I would do the last with wheat. Whatever's left, wheat yield boost, because wheat seeds you don't need to worry about. Cabbage seeds are the same kind of thing, but it's up to you. But peppercorn, for sure, you got to make sure that stockpile is going, because one, if it's a new season, you only have that one precious seed, and you do not want to risk the gamble that you planted it without a yield, without a seed breeding boost, and then risk not getting a seed back. It's like a bit of work, but really, once you get your crops automated, the only thing you have to stop and ruin your day for, really, is pork. Everything else, got it rolling. If you don't want to do any of this manually, once you got enough seeds going, this is how I usually rock it. What I do here is I would take this guy here and I would give him a full stack of peppercorn if I have enough there. Boom, he's got peppercorn. I'd give this guy a full stack of cabbage seeds, this guy a full stack of wheat seeds, and I would just go grind, go do my day, and I will come back tomorrow and these guys will have enough. Especially if you're only supplying yourself, you're gonna have enough just fine with these guys doing it on their own. If you want more than that, you need a yield boost and all that stuff to make sure you have an abundance, you can do it manually. But these guys here, if you just like want to turn your brain off, you just need 3 mushrooms, probably a buzzy bee or two if you want to deviate some of the crops you're getting so you can make other things or whatever. Not whatever, want to get more advanced in that, that's up to you. But that's it. I don't think there's anything else to cover in this video. I'll throw in a little aside here, guys. If you're looking for any special weapons, all that, the Gather Friends event is still going on. I have right now that I'm offering is a 3-star Jaws. So if you want to throw that in there, the friend code is going to be in the bottom of the description of the video. So if you decide you want yourself a Jaws that's 3 stars, go ahead and crank that in there. Anything else, guys, let me know in the comments. I will add an addendum if anything is missing, or there's any information you want, or any questions, or if you want to know how I got that big farm rocking and automated and how to make that work yourself, let me know in the comments section below. I'll make a detailed video on how to do that yourself. Have yourselves a good morning. And if this is the only video you watch me today, good afternoon or good night.